Hey there, my name is Brady and I'm thrilled to have you here. So if you like this particular video or any of the other ones on my channel, please be friendly with the subscribe button and stick around for a while. So unlike Sarah, hard light at times can be ugly. Now that's not to say never to use hard light. Hard light definitely has its shining moments and that pun is definitely intended. But hard light casts shadows, and shadows across faces aren't always so pleasant. So in this video, we're gonna put together a contrast of lighting between hard and soft light to maintain the benefits of this nice sunny hard shadow look, but also getting a really nice pleasing wrap of light around Sarah's face and facial features. So if you're here working on a budget or have very limited lights, you can do this with probably as few as 2 lights unless you have a very conveniently placed sunlight. Other than that, then you only need 1, but for myself, I used 3 lights. I added 1 extra light in at the end just to add a little extra kiss. So I wanted to add a really nice hard shadow daylight look across the entire scene, across Sarah, her sweater, the couch, and the glass that she's holding as well. So that might be a great place to start. The first light that I used was an aperture of 600D because I was working midday, high sun, sun's out. We needed a lot of oomph out of my light. So the 600D was a perfect choice to do so. Now you see that we're getting these beautiful shadows casting across the knit sweater, across the couch, the plant, the glass she's holding. But one thing that I really don't like is the shadows that we're getting across her face, wrapping around her nose, really getting blocked by her nose, creating this raccoon eye, just a lot of ugly shadows. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this contrast that we're gonna add between the hard and soft light. Now to get this final look, we're gonna have to backtrack just a little bit, making it a little bit uglier lighting-wise, and then bring in some more lighting afterwards. So to do that, get rid of the shadows across her face. I took a floppy, brought it outside, and just cut this beam of light that's coming from the 600, cutting those shadows from her face. Now left that a nice slash right at about her neckline. So her body, her sweater, the couch, everything else is still getting this really hard contrast, sharp light that we liked, but her face is no longer getting that really ugly shadow across her nose and eyes, so on and so forth. So you can see it's leaving her very much in the dark, but that's okay because we're gonna bring in some very nice pretty light next onto her. So to get this nice soft light across her, I use an Aperture Nova because it's a panel, it's a very soft panel. And on that, I added the softbox that they have to go with it and a grid as well. So let's break that down for a second. The panel is soft and I wanted softer light even more so I put the softbox on top of it. And then I used the grid just to isolate the direction and the beam of this light so it's not spilling throughout the entire scene. That way we really control that light onto just Sarah, her upper body, torso, and face area. Now, if you don't have a panel or a softbox, well, you've seen all the time I use sheets, you can use shower curtains, anything to diffuse the light, and you really just want to soften this light up. So if you're working on a budget, use a sheet or a shower curtain in front of whatever light source that you have, and then that's just really going to soften up your beam of light. And this Nova was set to 5600 Kelvin as well, just to match the 600D. And talking about camera settings for a moment, my camera was set white balance to 5600 Kelvin as well. So everything was white balance for daylight, and that warm sunny feeling I really applied in post in color grading. Now the tricky but very crucial part of adding the second light is keeping this second added light from looking very sourcey. So to do that, we wanted to keep the Nova coming from the same direction as our hard light, and by doing this we're fooling the viewer from thinking that whatever light source is out the window is casting just perfect light across Sarah's entire body. So keeping the light direction from your soft source and your hard source is going to be very important. So the light motivation being from the outdoors, from the outside window, the sun. So now we've got them both in the same place. I also wanted to keep our exposure and our contrast ratios pretty appropriate and not look sourcey as well. So we've got her hard light on her sweater, which is probably going to be a little bit brighter than any ambient soft light that's coming across the face. So I had my Nova just a little bit dimmer than I did this hard light coming across the shadows, the torso and the couch, just because if we had this really soft ambient light wrapping around her that was brighter than the actual hard sunlight, it would just look a little bit off. So I used my false color on my camera just to bring that a little bit lower, a little bit dimmer than the actual hard light. Because again, if the soft light on the face was brighter than this hard light, it would feel a little bit off. And I also wanted to add that I put up just a black sheet on camera right on that shadow side as negative fill, just taking a little bit more to this shadow, adding a little bit more to this really warm sunlight beam of light coming through the window, adding this contrast ratio around her face really into the shadows. So again, if you're working with very limited lighting gear and this is all that you've got, this looks great. We're done, call it a day, see you later. But remember, we are lighting spaces, not faces. So to do that, I added in one more light, and that light was an aperture 300D, which matches with the daylight source of the 600 and the Nova. And I brought that into that back window that you see in the background, and I put a Fresnel 2X on that as well. And I just blasted that through the shears, through the window, giving a little bit of texture on that back wall, lighting up that plant that you see on the table, and a few of the other items in that background, just keeping the consistency of our light source being that sun out on camera left. So instead of just having the lighting coming in on our scene in the foreground with Sarah and the couch, we've got that lighting remaining consistent coming through another window further down in the back of the house. It does a great job of just adding depth and keeping consistency to your look. So 3 lights, some negative fill, and a good amount of haze, and we've got ourselves a nice looking shot. So let's go ahead and take a look back at it once more. Now to recap the purpose of this video once more, we wanted to get the benefits of hard light with the shadows across her sweater, the couch, the plant, but we didn't want these hard shadows to come across Sarah's face. We wanted to have a very flattering light coming across. So the contrast between hard light and soft light, but keeping it coming from the same motivating source to keep consistent and keep it from looking sourcey, that's the cherry on top with this video. So it's definitely not the only way to approach hard light. Like I said before, it's got its shining moments. But it was a very fun way to keep the lighting flattering all throughout the entire scene, and I very much so enjoyed it. So that about wraps up this week's video. I've got about 10 minutes until the Red Sox start playing, and if you're a baseball fan and you like the Red Sox, you probably know that it's playoff season. So that's important. So stay safe, happy shooting, and go Sox.